Hi everyone, Garry the Catholic rugby fan. In this video, I'm going to introduce to you my number 5 lock forward of my All Saints fantasy rugby team, the Great Clouds of Witnesses. St. Paul the Apostle. At first, he was called Saul. The greatest conversion story in the Bible, when Saul was knocked off his horse on his way to Damascus. Paul was present when St. Stephen was stoned to death, becoming our first martyr. St. Augustine wrote, "The church would not have heard of Paul if he did not hear St. Stephen's dying words and pray. Lord, receive my spirit. Do not punish them for this sin." Those words planted a seed in Paul's heart, which helped him on his path to conversion. But St. Paul's writings teach us that the Catholic Church breathes with two lungs, sacred tradition and sacred scripture. Hold on to the traditions which are left you, either by word or by letter. The Church is the foundation of truth. The Church came before the Bible. But St. Paul's writings, they can also be extreme and even scary. He warns us not to receive communion in an unworthy manner. We could get sick and even die. We are guilty of sinning against the body and blood of the Lord. If we have a mortal sin, we must first go to confession. Those two sacraments, the Eucharist and confession, are always linked. But some of Paul's writings can also be enduring and beautiful, especially when it came to love. Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous, it does not brag, and is not proud. Love is not rude. Love patiently accepts all things. St. Paul the Apostle, who wrote beautiful letters called Epistles. And the rugby, the childhood hero that he reminds me of, is the great Springbok lock and loose forward Frik du Preez. Frik played in 38 test matches between 1962 and 1971. He scored his first points in test rugby on debut at Twickenham against England when he converted Doug Hopwood's try. I can still recall the voice of rugby, Bill McLaren, describing Frik's conversion. "It's high, it's long, and it's straight." Frik was a force of nature. He was fast, agile, and he could accelerate at pace. And he had this uncanny swerve which he demonstrated when he scored that 40-meter try at Loftus-Versfeld against Tom Kiernan's 1968 British Lions. Frik played his last test in Sydney in 1971. And when he retired, the Sunday newspapers, the Sydney Herald, the sports headline read, "Frik is to South African rugby what Donald Bradman is to Australian cricket. Pele is to Latin American football, and Colin Meads is to New Zealand rugby. The great Frik du Preez, my number 5 lock, and St. Paul. And just something I would like to share with you about Eucharistic adoration. One day, Saint Teresa of Avila heard someone say, if only I had lived at the time of Jesus. If only I had seen and talked with Jesus. Saint Teresa responded, but do we not have in the Eucharist the living, true and real Jesus before us? Why look for more? We can spend time, any day with Jesus, in any Catholic church, in front of the tabernacle. As St. Ignatius said, I look at Jesus and he looks at me. So guys, until next time, I won't say goodbye, but I'll see you all in the Eucharist. Blessings from the Catholic rugby fan.